So you found the answer key video for the next group of examples. And at any point, if you're like, hey, I got number 1, let me just forward to number 2, then be my guest. Hit, fast forward it, so to speak, or what's the word I'm looking for? Oh, put me on double time so you can get to the next example, whichever you need to do if you already got one of these. But let's look at number 1. Okay, so we're dealing with the angle of 5 pi over 6. Remember what I've mentioned. This means you have a reference angle of what? 30 degrees, which is still the equivalent of pi over 6, right? So what's the cosine of pi over 6? Well, pi over 6 is 30 degrees. Cosine of 30 is adjacent over hypotenuse, which means this is going to be the square root of 3 over 2. And now you got to figure out the quadrant, don't you? Okay, so let's take a look at the quadrant. 5 pi over 6. Remember my benchmark? Yeah, that's pi. So this is 6 pi over 6. Let me give you a little bit of a different approach. If its reference angle is pi over 6, that means I'm going into this quadrant by pi over 6, which lands me at 5 pi over 6. Because remember, when you go this direction, you subtract. So 5 pi over 6 is in quadrant 2. Whoops, guess I didn't need to write the cube. Sorry about that. And in quadrant 2, cosine is the x's, and they are negative. Good? Okay. Number 2, let's talk. We're talking about tangent of negative 5 pi over 4. Okay, first things first. Good. Reference angle is 45 degrees or pi over 4. Got it. Now, tangent of 45 degrees. Opposite over adjacent. So this is just a 1. Lovely. And then quadrant. Okay, so let's look at the quadrant. Remember, my benchmark is the pi. And since I am going in the negative direction, this would be negative 4 pi over 4, wouldn't it? But I need 5. So I go 1 more negative pi over 4 to make 5. And this is also quadrant 2. With me? Okay. Quadrant 2, cosine is negative or x is negative. Y is positive or sine is positive. So tangent is y over x. This is a negative answer. Good? Okay, you getting the hang of this? Lovely. Let's see. Oh, this one. Okay, we're dealing with negative 2 pi over 3. So talk to me. Reference angle. Reference angle is what? 60 degrees. Got it. Which is equivalent to pi over 3. So 60 degrees, tangent. Opposite over adjacent, that's going to be the square root of 3. Good. And now you've got to figure out the quadrant. And it's negative, right? Which means we're starting from here and we're going in this direction. Remember, my benchmark is pi. So pi is negative 3 pi over 3, isn't it? Okay. So, it's either quadrant 3 or 4, isn't it? The reference angle is also another way to look at this. You're going into here by a positive, because that's the positive direction, which will land you in quadrant 3 as negative 2 pi over 3. So this is a quadrant 3 angle. Quadrant 3, those are my 2 signs. Positive. Excellent. Making sense? Okay, I have 2 more examples coming your way. Okay, so the last 2 examples, hopefully you've worked on them already. Let's take a look. So, first things first. We usually find our reference angle first, don't we? Okay, So what's my angle in problem 4? Pi over 2. Now here's the deal. Pi over 2 isn't in a triangle. It's on the y-axis, isn't it? This is pi over 2. So when it's literally on the x or the y-axis, there is no reference angle. You literally are looking at a boundary line, as I like to call it. So pi over 2. And I'm looking for the tangent. Okay, remember, first things first. Remember that at pi over 2, the coordinate is 0, positive 1, isn't it? And if I'm looking for the tangent at 90 degrees, or pi over 2, tangent is y over x. So in this case, it would be 1 over 0. Well, 1 over 0 is what? Yeah, undefined. You can't divide by 0. It doesn't work. It blows everything up. So the tangent at pi over 2 is undefined. Good? Like, that was easy. Yeah, that one was easy. How about number 5? Pi over, or 4 pi, excuse me. A full circle is how much? A full circle is 2 pi, which means we're going once around the circle and twice around the circle, which means 4 pi ends up right back here again. The coordinates at this x-axis are 1, 0. Cosine. Cosine is just the 1. Remember, it fell on a boundary line. It fell on the x-axis in this particular case. Good? Yeah. When they land on a triangle, we got a lot more work to do. If it's a reference angle of pi over 6, pi over 3, pi over 4, it's a little bit more work to do. But when it literally lands on either the x-axis or the y-axis, all I have to do is know the coordinates, and then I just figure out which one it is. Is it the x or the y, or is it both of them, and in which order do they go? Agreed? Okay. Hope you had fun with these. Catch you on the flip side.